All right, I think we're ready to go on the record here. This is cases CR 222755, State versus Chad Guy Daybell. Mr. Daybell is represented by Attorney John Pryor, and Fremont County case CR 2220838, State versus Lori Noreen Daybell Vallow, who's represented by Mr. Means. Before the court today is a motion for pro hac vice admission of an out-of-state counsel filed by the state. We took up some housekeeping matters prior to this hearing, and based on our discussions, the motion was filed in both cases for pro hac vice admission. The court's going to reserve argument or ruling on the issue in regards to the Lori Noreen Daybell Vallow case, which is the 838 case. And we will go forward with the motion as it relates to Mr. Daybell. So, Mr. Pryor, as we get started, I know your client is not here attending this hearing. Have you discussed his right to attend the hearing today?
I did, Judge. I spoke with him first thing this morning, had a conversation with him, and at this point, we're going to go forward without his attendance, Your Honor.
All right, and he waives the right to be present for the hearing today then?
Yes, he does, Judge.
Very well. I will note that we are conducting this hearing by Zoom with our ongoing COVID-19 order that governs how we conduct these proceedings. We're also recording this by the FTR system in Fremont County, Idaho, as well as it's being reported by the court reporter, and it's also being live streamed on the court's official YouTube channel. So as I mentioned, there is a motion for pro hac vice admission of a Rachel Smith that's been filed by the state. I reviewed the motion and the proposed order, and I did have a few questions on that. As we get started, Mr. Wood, I guess maybe one way to start is to just have me address a couple of the questions I had on the motion to get started, since it is typically just a pro forma motion, and then I'll hear your responses, and then Mr. Pryor, I'll let you respond. So one of the issues in looking at the motion, Mr. Wood, under the Idaho Bar Commission Rule 227, that governs our pro hac vice admissions in Idaho. And one of the requirements is that the attorney seeking to be involved in the case would need to, under Part A2, currently maintain an ongoing law practice in another jurisdiction. So I didn't see that information provided in the motion, and the court would need to have some information whether or not this attorney has an ongoing law practice in another jurisdiction at this time.
Okay, I can verify that yes, Ms. Smith does have an ongoing practice in Missouri. She practiced for many years in both the St. Louis Circuit Prosecutor's Office and then in the Attorney General's office in Missouri. She now has a private practice firm. A large part of what she does is special prosecutions and then helping prosecutors on cases. And so, yes, she does have an ongoing law practice and is in good standing in the state of Missouri.
Okay, I did see the information that she's has paid the fee and filed the certificate of good standing with the state of Idaho. I just wanted to make sure that requirement was met with, so I would ask that you submit a supplement to the admission that complies with that Rule 8.2, where she, and I appreciate your representation, she does, but where Ms. Smith can confirm that she maintains an ongoing practice, as you mentioned. The other issue I wanted to bring up, and then I'll hear again from you and Mr. Pryor if we need to, but there's an issue I see here where she could be admitted under the pro hac admission rules. In this case, you're appointed as a special prosecutor under Idaho Code 312603 to prosecute a case in Fremont County. And where Ms. Smith would be coming on, I guess I'd like some clarification. Is she going to be obviously prosecuting in the case? And if so, has Fremont County been consulted, and have they agreed that she should be also appointed as well as a special prosecutor? And typically when we do these orders, the terms of the appointment also include payment arrangements that the county's agreed to. So just based on your being appointed as a special prosecutor, I wanted to get to that issue before we got too far into the process, knowing being admitted under 227 ProHack gets you a limited license to practice in Idaho for a specific case. But then on that issue of appointment of a special prosecutor, I wondered if you had discussed that with Fremont County or not.
Your Honor, we didn't discuss it with Fremont County. She's being appointed to help the Madison County prosecutor as a special prosecutor in the case. We've discussed it with Madison County. They're funding it. And so we did not speak directly with the Fremont County commissioners on that.
Okay. And I guess that issue then, this case is, as I mentioned, is Fremont County case CR 222755. That's the case before the court and the case I'm presiding over. So any admission by this would be to this case. And as I understand the bar rule also, it's a case-by-case admission. So an attorney admitted ProHack on one case does not necessarily enjoy ProHack status for admission in another case. And I think that would require separate application. So in other words, the scope of any order would be specific as to the case I just mentioned, Mr. Daybell's case under the 755 heading, and it wouldn't be an appointment for any other matter.
Okay.
Okay. So those are the concerns I just had on the motion. Is there anything you'd like to say in additional support of the motion, Mr. Wood?
No, Your Honor, I think that the motion speaks for itself. This is a very complicated case. The amount of discovery, as we've talked about, is it's very, very large. There's a lot of information, and so we're seeking to have her help on this case through the Madison County Prosecutor's Office, appointed as special prosecutor. Other than that, Your Honor, I think the motion just speaks for itself.
All right, thank you, Mr. Wood. Mr. Pryor, your response to the motion for the ProHack PC admission of Rachel Smith?
Judge, you addressed the very issues that I had concerns with as well. You were astute enough to recognize the two things that I find problematic. One, that this is a Fremont County case. And as a Fremont County case, Mr. Wood, obviously, if his prosecutor's office wants to retain people to help him with his caseload, he has every right to seek whatever resources he wants to do that. And he can obviously hire anybody he wants. He's the chief prosecutor in Madison County. But this court identified the very issue of the ProHack rule, and the ProHack rule is case specific. And as a case specific rule, he does not get to enlarge, retain someone and say, you're going to handle all of my cases, and you're going to train my staff, and you're going to teach us how to properly prosecute cases. That's not something that he's prevented from doing. But in this particular case, he's prevented from having Ms. Smith participate unless Fremont County gives them their blessing, and that they're agreeing that Ms. Smith may come on, that Ms. Smith may participate this, because he's not the Madison County prosecutor in this case. He's the Fremont County special prosecutor, and he's a representative of Fremont County at this point. And at this point, it's Fremont County that's going to make the decision whether Ms. Smith shall be allowed to do this on this particular case in this particular situation. Now, what Mr. Wood chooses to do with his other cases, that's up to him. And for all practical purposes, Judge, this ProHack motion is fine as long as Fremont County signs off on it. And if Fremont County signs off on it and approves this, then we can go down this road. The other issue I have is this, Judge. I've done some research on Ms. Smith, and the information I have, and I don't want to suggest that my information is complete, but the information I have is that she's a consulting firm and that she does not have an active practice. Now, she's licensed in Missouri, but I need some sort of declaration from Ms. Smith saying, yes, I'm actually practicing law in the state of Missouri. And if she does that, then that issue is resolved. If she has an active law practice in Missouri, by all means, let's move forward. But those are the two things that I think we need to resolve before this court even considers signing an order. So my suggestion at this point, Judge, is Mr. Wood filed the supplemental information from Fremont County saying they're okay with this. Ms. Smith filed a supplemental declaration saying, I am licensed, practiced in Missouri, and I have an active law practice, whether that's criminal defense, whether that's prosecutorial work, whatever the nature of that practice is. And those issues are resolved at this point. And then obviously, if Mr. Wood wants to bring in someone to assist him or needs help in how to prosecute a case of this nature, by all means, he has every right to do that. But those two things need to be resolved, Judge, and I appreciate the court identifying those. I didn't mean to be so verbose, but I do want to set my feelings on this. It's not necessarily an objection as much as it is, let's get the proper housekeeping taken care of before this court signs an order.
All right, thank you. Mr. Wood, do you have anything further to offer in support of the motion?
Yes, Your Honor. As the appointed special prosecutor, I'm allowed to prosecute this case as I see fit. I'm not asking Fremont County for the money to hire Ms. Smith. And as such, I don't think the court needs to make a finding that I've gotten it approved for the Fremont County Commissioners. If I were, I'm not being compensated for this case. If we were asking them for money, I could see that being an issue or not. So we're fine with an order limiting the her admission to this case. I actually have Ms. Smith is here with me right now. I can have her make a declaration to the court of her law practice, or if the court would prefer that in writing, we can do that as well.
Well, if she's here and available to testify, I think that's probably the most efficient way to do that. Good afternoon, Ms. Smith. This is Judge Boyce. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. All right. I've considered the application for pro hac vice admission. Prosecutor indicates you'd be willing to make a statement to testify in this hearing regarding your qualifications. Are you prepared to do that?
Absolutely.
All right. If you would do me the favor then of raising your right hand, I'll have the clerk please place Ms. Smith under oath.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in the cause now pending will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Smith, this will be brief, but under our pro hac vice admission rule in Idaho, Bar Commission Rule 227, there's a requirement that you currently maintain an ongoing law practice in another jurisdiction. Can you advise the court whether or not you in fact maintain an ongoing law practice in another jurisdiction?
Yes, Your Honor. I maintain a law practice primarily involving special prosecutions. I am a special prosecutor or an appointed prosecutor assisting at least 2 counties in the state of Missouri. I also consult both on legal matters and on legal training from multiple other jurisdictions. I also have a small civil practice in the state of Missouri. I do not do any criminal defense work, as in Missouri, that would be a conflict of interest. So I do no criminal defense, but I am an appointed prosecutor or special prosecutor, and that is my primary practice.
Okay, thank you. And so you're currently the attorney of record in some pending cases, is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
All right, the court is satisfied with that representation, then that Rule 227E2 is met for the purpose of the pro hac vice request for admission. And thank you for the testimony, Ms. Smith. Counsel, regarding the issue of whether or not Fremont County needs to be involved in this, again, I'm just looking at Idaho Code 312603, which governs the appointment of a special prosecutor, and the order of appointment in this case was entered. Give me a moment. Well, it was entered obviously appointing you as the prosecutor for this Fremont County case from Madison County, Mr. Wood, and I guess the question I do have is the order appointed the Madison County Prosecutor's Office. And so it is specific as to the scope of that appointment. So in my mind, Ms. Smith can be admitted, but in order to be on the case would need to either be a deputy of your office or part of your office, or else receive a special appointment again from Fremont County. If you think there's some other authority out there that says otherwise, I'm open to listening to that. I'm just looking at the rule for special appointment of a prosecutor under 312603. And it is a housekeeping matter, but I think it's important to note that the attorney in a case has got the proper authority to act as a prosecutor. So do you have any additional comments on that?
Your Honor, I see that very much akin to her being appointed as pro hoc vice. Is very much the same thing as me deputizing an attorney to help in a case. I think that's, I really don't see a difference between the two. I think under my special appointment as a prosecutor on this case, that would give me the authority to bring in someone pro hoc vice and essentially deputize her once she receives that status.
Okay, and that is probably another approach to it, because I would note that that statute says once you're on the case, then the person so appointed has all the powers of the prosecuting attorney while so acting as such in the case. So if that's your plan going forward, if she'll be active in the case, then I just ask for you to submit a declaration with the court that she's been deputized, and I think that would satisfy the issue of her acting under your special prosecutor status for the matter.
Okay.
All right, Mr. Pryor, we went through some things there. I didn't really give you an opportunity to respond. Is there anything you'd like to say?
No, Judge, I agree with the court's analysis.
Okay, if you'll follow up with that then, Mr. Wood, with that, the court's satisfied on the pro hac vice admission, and I'll sign an order to that effect. And regarding the special prosecutor issue, if you just want to supplement with that, I'll watch for that to be filed in the case, Mr. Wood.
We will get that done right away. Thank you.
Thank you. Council, our next hearing is going to be on April 7th for what's scheduled as a status conference. If council has other motions they'd like to bring up at that time that can be timely filed and heard, I've got time that afternoon just for planning purposes. With that in mind, Mr. Pryor, is there anything else we need to bring up on behalf of your client today?
Not at this time, Your Honor. Thank you.
You're welcome. Mr. Wood, anything further?
No, thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Means, anything further from you this afternoon?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thanks everyone. Appreciate your attendance, and we will be in recess.